Hi everyone, back with another video. Just wanted to say I hope you all had a Merry Christmas. Today is the 26th, which also happens to be my birthday. So happy birthday to me. In this video I was hoping to talk to you guys a little bit about me and my channel, and then also kind of give you some first impressions about the Z6 that I purchased. I've had it for a few weeks now. Probably shot a few hundred pictures, and then also made a video for my wife and I's YouTube channel. And that was kind of the idea coming into it today, was kind of let you know a little bit about me and what my channel is going to be about. But at the same time, I also came across the video today that's a little disappointing, and unfortunately it seems to be the way with YouTube these days that these photography channels just continue to put down other cameras and well, I wouldn't say so much users, but just camera systems. A video came out today by from Jared Polin. You may know him from Frono's Photo. He's got, you know, just a ton of subscribers to his channel, and you know, he puts out good content. But the unfortunate part is, like him and another YouTuber, Manny Ortiz, I think, just had a video a couple weeks ago. They're Sony shooters, and then they put down the Nikon system and the Z series. I'm not exactly sure why these photographers continue to put down other cameras, or why they continue to put out videos. I mean, I think you know as well as I do the reason why they continue to put out these videos and use these clickbait titles is because, you know, they're making money from YouTube. You know, unlike a small YouTube channel like me, you know, that doesn't make any money off of YouTube. You know, these guys, they get a good stream of revenue coming in from YouTube, and so their goal is going to be to get you to click on their videos and to watch what they have to say. And if, you know, even for me, I even fell for it today. Being a Nikon Z6 user, I wanted to kind of get his take on, you know, what he felt about the system for the last year. And I'm not even saying that all the stuff that he says is wrong. I've only had the camera, like I said, for a few weeks. And unlike a lot of these YouTubers, I'm not going to put out a video on my channel, especially a review video, until I've been able to use the system for months. You know, and he may have. But again, he's using so many different cameras and so many different systems. I know he shoots his videos with a Nikon Z6. So I almost kind of felt the video was kind of funny in that regard, as in the fact that on one sense he's putting it down, but on the other sense he uses the camera still. So, you know, it's pretty interesting that he's still buying the Z lenses, although he claims that he's moving on to Sony. And so that's the unfortunate part about YouTube, and that's why I decided to create this channel, was because, you know, for someone like me, my goal is not going to be to rip on other brands of cameras. I'm not going to be having sponsored videos. I'm not going to try to sell anything. You know, you watch a video, and I'm just using him as an example, but, you know, his videos are sponsored by, you know, Squarespace or one of these different folks that, you know, that sponsor videos. And then you've got presets that he's trying to sell, or he's doing reviews on camera equipment, and then he's linking everything in his video and hoping that you're going to buy it, because if you do, then he gets a kickback. And so that's a little dirty secret about YouTube, a way that a lot of these guys make their money. It's not so much from the views and the comments and stuff on YouTube itself. A lot of it comes from sponsorships. And so, for instance, if somebody's being sponsored by Epidemic Sound or Squarespace or any of these others, what happens is they get a kickback anytime you sign up, or they end up getting their service for free while you end up paying for it in the end. And so that's the unfortunate part. And then, you know, if you're an affiliate, like me, I have an affiliation with Amazon. So if anybody were to buy something from my links on Amazon, then Amazon gives me a little bit of a kickback. It doesn't charge you, the viewer, anything to do it, but we as the content creators end up getting a couple percentage points. So if, for instance, if you bought a Nikon Z6 off of one of my links, and that's how I would make a little bit of money from YouTube. I don't make any money off of YouTube itself. You have to have 1,000 subscribers, and you have to have so many watch hours and what have you. But that's really not what this video is about. I just want to kind of give you a little bit of behind the scenes, so that you don't fall for the traps that these guys set for you with this clickbait, and that you don't feel frustrated in the fact that you might have spent a lot of money on a camera system and then have somebody else just come in and bash it. You know, which is unfortunate, because I know a lot of professionals out there that are shooting with cameras from 10, 15, 20 plus years ago that are still making more money doing photography than any of those guys will ever make in their lives shooting photography. And so that stuff's unfortunate. You've got guys shooting on film cameras that are making a living. So to have somebody bash a whole system based on a couple issues, you know, the biggest issue that he had with the camera is the autofocus system. He has a problem with the fact that it only has one card slot. You know, so is the camera perfect? No, there's issues with the camera that I've already seen just in the couple weeks that I've had it. But I bought, you know, in this particular case, I've got the Z6, and then I also have the 24 to 70 f 2.8 lens. And I'll tell you what, I'm coming right now. I'm filming this on a Canon T7i, which is a pretty good camera for filming. You know, it's only has 1080p, you know, so I don't get the 4K, and you know, there's some things that I'm missing out with slow motion and things of that nature. But the reason why I'm filming with this instead of the Nikon is because I wanted to talk a little bit about my first impressions with the Nikon and wanted to kind of show it to you. But the video quality is so much better on this Nikon than it is on this Canon. But for me, I don't have any preference. I use the Canon, I use my new Nikon, I use a GoPro when I'm doing my vlogs, I use my phone on occasion for taking photos and or video. You know, so I get really frustrated with these channels that continually just feel like they have to put down other systems just so that they can get clicks and that they can get views on their YouTube channel. And you know, that's just kind of the way YouTube's going these days, and that's what's, you know, really turning me off from a lot of channels. Once I see that something's sponsored by somebody, or I see somebody reviewing a product, it's really hard to trust. For me, it's really hard for me to trust that channel, especially when you have a company like Sony, for instance. I use it from an example, and I'm sure Nikon and Canon do the same. They sent a lot of their shooters, a lot of the vloggers, you know, from YouTube, they send them to a camp up in Montana, and you may have seen it. And I think they paid for them, you know, to stay there for, you know, a few days and shoot all of their camera systems. And then, you know, so quote unquote, they're not getting paid by one of these by one of these manufacturers, but at the same time, they're getting benefits from those manufacturers. So it's very hard for people like me and people like you to trust what these guys are saying. And I know in Jared's specific situation, you know, if you watch his channel every week, he's got something new camera lens or new camera body or something that he's reviewing. And there's no way that he could possibly be able to give you a good review in that small amount of time. You got to be able to use these systems for, you know, a good year or more. And I know that there's many, if you just do a search if you just do a search on YouTube, you're going to find many other Nikon users that are going to disagree with what his review had to say about the autofocus, about the card slot being an issue. There's one channel I watch that I think he's a wedding photographer, monochrome something, I can't remember the name of the channel, but a good channel in regards to the Nikon, and he shoots it professionally for weddings, and none of those things have been a concern for him. But at the same time, he's got a wife that's also shooting with him. He's got multiple cameras, and so the redundancy is there. Whereas for me, if I was to go out and shoot a wedding with my Nikon, yeah, I would be concerned about the only having one card slot. But at the same time, did it prevent me from buying the camera? No, because once you pick this camera up and you put this in your hands and you feel the way the body is, for me, a lot of my stuff is product in landscape photography. So the autofocus for me specifically is not that big of a deal. I don't need it as much as a portrait photographer would or a wedding photographer. But going back to my point, if you watch some of his videos, he'll tell you and show you tips that he's been able to use to get around any kind of autofocus issues that he's got. And Nikon continues to come out with new firmware updates where they're putting now they have eye autofocus, which I use here at Christmas time with my family. I'm shooting some photos, and I thought it worked fantastic. And coming from an old DSLR like this Canon that I'm using right now and going and moving to this system, I mean, just looking through this viewfinder, it's amazing. The sharpness that you get from the camera, the build, you know, being a landscape photographer, I had to have something that was weather sealed and felt really good in my hand. You know, if I'm doing street photography or something like that, I got to be able to have something that grips well. So I just don't agree with a lot of the negativity that's out there in regards to camera systems. Like I said, I know for a fact when I bought this camera, I spent months researching it. I know it's not the perfect camera. I know it's got issues with autofocus compared to a Sony, for instance. But when I touch this build, when I look at the build of this Nikon versus some others, and I look at the weather sealing, and I look at the things that I need, especially in regards to for being a hybrid shooter, you know, I shoot video and photo. You know, it just happened to be the right choice for me. And I assume if you're watching this, then maybe you're a Nikon Z6 or Z7 user as well, and it was the right choice for you. So my hope is when you see these videos that are negative towards the system, hopefully you'll know that there are users out there that are being very successful with the Nikon Z series. You know, so they say that, you know, people were concerned that they were slow with the rollout of lenses. That may or may not be true. For me, I've got the 24-70, which basically is, you know, my go-to lens anyway. And then they've got the a 50 and a 35 millimeter, which is I think a 1.8, 1.4 to 1.8. So if you're a photographer, if you're a wedding photographer, if you're a portrait photographer, those are perfect lenses for that. So to say that they don't have a huge variety of lenses, yeah, that's true. But don't forget, you know, what he didn't even mention in that video was with the F mount, you've got all of Nikon's lenses. So I'm not exactly sure what the issue is with the rollout and what the concern there is. You know, I just don't know why these guys that shoot a different brand continue to make these videos, hoping that guys, you know, that are shooting the Nikon continue to click and watch their videos and comment and just get frustrated. You know, hopefully with my channel, you know, there's not going to be any of that. My videos, you know, these are really going to be based more around learning how to use the Nikon Z6, not finding out what's wrong with the Nikon Z6, but learning ways to shoot better with it. Tips and tricks of, you know, photography in general, and kind of going out and doing some tutorials out in the field and things of that nature. And that's what I hope to bring to YouTube as far as my videos are concerned. There just isn't going to be all of this sponsored videos. I'm not going to try to sell you presets. I'm not going to try to sell you camera equipment if you decide to purchase, you know, a Nikon or lens or what have you from one of my links, and that's cool, you know, I appreciate that, but there's no way I'm ever going to push any of that. And I'm not going to say that it's the best camera on the market so that you feel like you have to purchase this camera. So anyway, so that's kind of the gist of what this channel is going to be about. I am you know, for me, I'm full-time employed. I've got a job that has nothing to do with photography. In fact, I work in the insurance industry. Photography for me is a passion and a hobby, and I hope to make it more than just you know, than making a little bit of money on the side, which I do now. I do some stock photography, which is where most of my money comes from. I also do some freelance work if somebody needs, you know, a headshot or a wedding or what have you. I can do those, and I have done some of those in the past. But the majority of what I do or where I make my money is off of stock photography, which, as you all know, it's really video more than stock photography. I do both, but I make more off of my stock video than I do my photography. So as time goes on, I'll probably make some videos about that and kind of work, you know, kind of show you my process there if you are trying to make money in photography. But that's a little bit about me. Like I said, I am an amateur, but at the same time, you know, I'm not a beginner and I'm not a pro. And when I consider someone a pro, it's somebody who's, you know, not, when I think of someone as a professional, I think of someone who is making a living with their camera. And in my case, I'm not. I actually make a living outside of photography and videography, but at the same time, I make good, you know, I do make some income off on the side using my camera, and I just hope to increase that, especially here in 2020, to get more of that, to get more funds from the camera work. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if this channel sounds like something that may interest you, I would appreciate it if you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm going to try to post every week if possible on everything. You know, it doesn't have to be Nikon related, it could be camera related just in general, especially when we start talking tutorials and things of that nature and just basic photography. Then of course it ain't gonna matter what camera system you use. I didn't really want to get off on a tangent about, you know, another other YouTube channels or what I see as being a concern with YouTube. This was really more about letting you guys know a little bit about me and what I hope to bring to my channel. You know, so in the end, you know, there's just not going to be a lot of negativity. There's not going to be a lot of bashing on other brands. There's not going to be any selling you of goods or presets or sponsored videos, anything of that nature. So if that's what you're looking for, which is what I've been looking for from a YouTube channel, then hopefully you'll consider subscribing, and we'll see you next time.